Okay, guys, if you are watching this on the app, give us just a couple of more minutes here and we are going to get things going. We are going to have an update live for you on Hurricane Ida and the possible impacts to us here in the Mid-South. So stand by for that. We are just trying to get going on Facebook as well, get as many avenues out there as possible. So we're going to make sure that is working. But very significant storm, as you can see there. It does not take a meteorologist to know that we've got a very significant weather situation happening right now with Hurricane Ida. So again, give me just a moment. I'm going to make sure Facebook is working. We're trying something a little different here. We're going to have an update live for you. Awesome. Sounds great. So I've got Facebook going. Let me get my badge off. I've got Facebook going. Comments, questions, anything like that, send them my way. I'm also going to get the crawler up on TV so we have some info going out there just to let people know that we're live. I want to let you know this is not serious enough to be on TV right now. That's why we're not. We've got a crawler going right now to let people know to tune in here on the website and Facebook and things like that. But it's serious enough, especially down in Louisiana, that I want to get you guys an update. So I've got everything up. I'm going to try to get all my comments up so I can see what you guys are saying. I've got them up on my page right now. So if you're watching on the meteorologist Trevor Birchett page, I can see you there. I'm going to try to get the one for the local Memphis page because we might get a few more people over there. So again, bear with me. I'm just getting everything set up here for the next couple of seconds, and then we will be able to get going here with the update because there is a lot going on with this hurricane. Unfortunately, it just seems to get worse and worse and worse in terms of what's happening. Okay, I've got the chat up now. So let's go ahead and dive right in. I want to tell you what I know as I know it. First of all, biggest breaking news right now is that the entire city of New Orleans has lost power completely. There is no power right now for anybody in the city of New Orleans. And the problem with that is that I understand, and I'm not 100% sure on this, but from what I understand, at least some of those pumps in New Orleans that pump the water out of the city do not have generators. At least some of them. Some of them do. Not all of them, though. And that's the problem because New Orleans sits below sea level. And so when you have an issue where there's so much rain, they have these pumps to pump the water out of the city. It would seem plausible that at least some of those are not working. Do not know about all of them, but at least some of them might not be working anymore now that the power has gone out. Okay, so let's go ahead and get right to it. Let me go grab my weather clicker here. I knew I was forgetting something. And we'll kind of analyze this storm. Again, as you're watching this, we're here in Memphis. If you maybe are seeing this somewhere else, this is an update for Memphis. But I want to get you to what's happening out here right now because it's a serious situation. And some of this will be impacting us later on. So I will have a full update on what's happening in Memphis tomorrow with this storm a little bit later on. Give me a couple of minutes because I definitely want to run through what's going on down to our south right now. So here's the latest scan, 8:04 p.m. Heavy rain from Baton Rouge through New Orleans, Slidell, all the way over through the Mississippi Gulf Coast, even to Gulf Shores right now, seeing some of that heavy rain and wind coming in. It's a little lopsided, so most of the rain and wind is over to the east. There's the eye, the center of the storm, so most of it is over to the east, and that's why Mississippi and Alabama are getting the worst of it. And I'll tell you what, the problem is these things rotate counterclockwise, so just like that. So as these things come off the ocean, they're bringing in all of this water right onto the eastern side of the storm. So even though the worst of the wind is right now near New Orleans into the west, the worst surge is east of there. Gulfport, Biloxi, even to Mobile and Gulf Shores, they're getting a big influx of water, and that is going to lead to some flooding concerns. So that is something we're going to have to watch very carefully. Again, even though Gulfport and Biloxi, they're not seeing the worst of the wind right now, they're still getting a lot of the heavy rain and the storm surge. So let me zoom right in here and we'll zoom right into the eyeball. Here's Laplace, Louisiana. And if you're familiar with this area, here's I-55. So when you're coming down 55 from Memphis, you pass through Jackson, and then you get to I-12 in Hammond. You've got the option to go to Baton Rouge. If you keep going down, I-55 dead ends into I-10, and you can take that to New Orleans. That's right where that is, in Laplace, Louisiana. And that intersection, that junction of I-55 and I-10 is probably where the absolute worst of the weather, I would argue possibly some of the worst weather on the planet, is at that intersection right now. And again, here's the eye of the storm. There, it's completely calm. It's quiet. There's clear sky, no rain, anything. It's totally quiet, no wind. You go 10 miles to the east into Laplace, you've got winds, I guarantee you, close to 110 miles an hour. And so I want to switch over to the wind mode, and we normally use this for tornadoes. You'll see this a lot during our tornado warning coverage. But I just want to give you an idea of maybe how strong some of this wind is. So let me zoom out of here just a little bit. And we'll kind of poke around here. The general thing you need to know with this product is it's showing us wind direction and wind speed. So the reds are going toward the radar, or away from the radar side, I should say. So they're coming around this direction. The greens are going toward. So that's where you have that center of circulation of the storm. And the brighter the color, the stronger the wind. So take a look at this. Gonzales, Louisiana. If you've ever been to Baton Rouge, that's where the Tanger Outlet Mall is, down in Gonzales. 118 mile an hour winds. Now, that's a little bit above the ground. That's not right at the surface. You can probably take 15 miles an hour off of that. But 100 miles an hour is still doing damage. That's basically a tornado going through Gonzales, Louisiana right now. New Orleans Metro to the west, 67 miles an hour. Mandeville in Louisiana, you're talking 86, 88 miles an hour, 95. I mean, look at this, folks. This is incredible amounts of wind. And most of the wind is concentrated in, I would say, about a 20 to 30 mile radius. So from about Baton Rouge, maybe to New Orleans now, is where a lot of the strongest wind is. So the whole hurricane doesn't have winds of, 100 miles an hour, but a small area does. And I mean, it's a small area, but it's impacting places all the way to the west of New Orleans. So again, the power is completely out in the city of New Orleans. I had a report earlier that 700,000 folks in Louisiana had no power. I don't think that was including New Orleans. So now we've got an extra 200,000 on top of that. I would guarantee you there are probably close to 1 million folks right now that do not have power in Louisiana. A disaster of a storm. It's insane. It is a crazy storm. And you see all these little bands right here north of New Orleans. This is over the lake there. There's the causeway that gets you over to Slidell. Those little bands, we've also got to watch for tornado potential. Yes, hurricanes likely do cause tornadoes. The whole hurricane's already spinning, so it's a lot easier for those little bitty tornadoes to go ahead and spin up. So that's something we're going to have to watch for even in Memphis as this storm continues to move off to the north. And again, if you're just joining us, we're here at ABC 24 News in Memphis. So this is not coverage for you if you're going through this right now, God forbid. You got to check in with your local folks down there. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen here, but I wanted to get you a quick update on what's happening down there because I know a lot of us have family, friends down in New Orleans, Baton Rouge, southern Mississippi, and a lot of folks are curious. So even though we're here in Memphis, I wanted to give you a little bit of an update. And this thing's going to be going into southern Mississippi here soon. So it's taking a little more of a north than northwest path. So in general, we're looking for the center of the storm to probably do something like this. And so that means you've got the entire cone of where the worst weather is. That's going to be going up along the Mississippi River and into central portions of Mississippi. So heads up, Jackson. It's not going to be a hurricane by the time it gets there, but winds 60, 70 miles an hour is certainly possible, in addition to all of the rain. Speaking of the rain, that's another big concern we've got. Let's talk about some of these rainfall totals because that's going to be another concern when this thing gets up to Memphis. New Orleans right now, we're talking 7 inches of rain, 7.5 just south of there, and they're not even halfway done with the storm. And so they've got a ways to go, unfortunately, with this storm. And it's really just beginning, especially for those folks in Baton Rouge. We'll show you a live camera from there in just a little bit. But again, tornado watch is in effect right now, southern Mississippi, southern Alabama, because these little outer bands here, we're going to have to watch for tornadoes. And even as this thing continues to the north, take a look at this. There's Memphis. So there's the storm at the bottom of your screen. It's going to come up something like this, and that could be an impact for us as we go into tomorrow, unfortunately. So we'll keep that in mind. Let me get you over to out of the radar mode, and I'm going to take you through some graphics here. And this is a better idea of what's going to be happening here in Memphis. So if you're watching from Memphis, if you're looking for information on North Mississippi, West Tennessee, Eastern Arkansas, you're in the right place because this is where you're going to find it. Really quick, I'm going to show you some live video. This is from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Looks pretty calm there right now, but it is getting windier, it's getting rainier, and this is in Baton Rouge as well. So there's the bridge as you're coming from Baton Rouge. So there's downtown Baton Rouge, the state capital's over there. This is as you're going in to Port Allen as you cross the Mississippi River into West Baton Rouge Parish. For some reason, there are folks down there. I don't get why. I mean, you see how the camera's shaking. The winds are not awful yet, but they're bad. We had folks driving around in New Orleans earlier when we had cameras down there, and you couldn't hardly see them because it was so windy. So it's baffling to me. I certainly would not be out there. Don't know how they're doing it. This camera, you take your guess at what you think happened to that. We had reports from the ABC station in New Orleans that they witnessed their camera fly off of their building because the winds were so strong. That could have happened here, or the power could have gone out, because as we know, the power is now out for the entire city of New Orleans. Also should mention our friends down at the ABC station in New Orleans, that's WGNO if you're familiar with the area, their roof is coming off currently. So a terrifying situation right now down in New Orleans, and unfortunately it's going to be coming toward Baton Rouge. Let me give you an update on what's happening here in Memphis, because we've had some rain, we've had some storms rolling through the Mid-South. This is actually some of the first outer bands of Ida. We had that come through Memphis. Now it looks like the heaviest of it is actually going to be over into northern Crittenden County, coming just north of Wynn. Not worried about that right now in terms of any rough weather, but it's going to produce a downpour. So just keep that in mind if you are headed out and about tonight. So here's the latest forecast path. And this is going to show us where this thing is going. So right now, a Category 3 storm, winds of 115 to 120 miles an hour. It's going to continue to weaken. Thankfully, once these things hit land, they weaken, but not all that quickly. We're still talking a Category 1 hurricane by the time it gets to Natchez, Mississippi, and then a tropical storm over Jackson. Now that's where the center of the storm is going to be. So you saw earlier how wide the storm was down here. Just kind of follow that up. So that's kind of the impact zone that we're looking. The little red area here, that's not where the impacts are. That's where the center is going to be. So keep that in mind as you look at this, because the center of the storm is likely going to go into North Mississippi, south and east of Memphis. But the storm is still going to impact everybody in the Mid-South. It just looks like the worst of it now could be into North Mississippi as opposed to Memphis. So let me walk you through this. I'm actually going to back this up just a little bit because I wanted to kind of go, threat by threat here with the details. First of all, I want to show you tomorrow's forecast. Again, this is for Memphis and the Mid-South. We're going to wake up to some showers. The morning commute, you might see a little rain developing, but I think the best chance of rain is going to develop after lunchtime. And then as we go, 3, 4, 5 p.m., it's basically going to be raining for everybody, 90% of us. And that rain continues all night tomorrow night into early Tuesday morning. So as I mentioned, we've got the threat of some rough weather that is going to come in here starting tomorrow morning, late tomorrow morning into Tuesday morning. Now, before I get into this, I know a lot of folks have questions when there's rough weather around. So I'm watching the Facebook chat. So if you've got any questions, any comments, any concerns, post them and I'll check them. This is not like regular TV. I can talk back to you. How cool is that? So if you've got questions, concerns, comments, post them and I will try to get to them. I wanted to see if we had any just yet come in. I haven't seen any. Let me grab my pen. I haven't seen any, but I just want to keep it open just so I can see in the event that somebody does have a question or a comment. So again, keep those coming. I will try to get to them as best I can over the next couple of minutes. So seeing nothing for right now, I'm going to keep on going with what I was doing. And again, if you have any questions or comments, just leave those right down below and I will be checking in on those in the next little bit. So storm threats for Memphis. The biggest concern for us is going to be the heavy rain. These tropical systems dump a lot of rain, and that's not good for the farmers. They don't need a whole lot of rain right now. Gusty winds, a medium concern. It's going to be windy, but it's not going to be probably catastrophically windy. We're not going to have stuff falling over more than likely, but it will be windy out there. And then we've also got a low-end threat of tornadoes. I told you tropical systems like to spin up tornadoes. We've got a low-end threat for that. That's mainly going to be tomorrow afternoon into tomorrow night. So that's something we're going to be watching. Here's the rainfall forecast for the Mid-South. Again, there you saw the track of the storm. So the center of the storm is likely going to go from Oxford through Corinth. And the heaviest of the rain will be along and east of that path, to the right of that path. So 2 to 4 inches in that area, Oxford to Corinth, 1 to 2 inches for just about everybody else. North Mississippi, West Tennessee, that includes us here in Memphis. And then eastern Arkansas, likely less than an inch. But again, you get 2 to 4 inches of rain in a quick amount of time. That could lead to some localized flash flooding, especially if you live near those creeks and rivers that tend to flood frequently. So just keep that in mind. Here's your wind gust forecast, and this is where we have 2 threats that are kind of on the medium level. This is where we have 2 threats that, you know, could mix together in a bad way. 30 to 40 mile an hour wind gusts in North Mississippi. That's the same area I told you was likely going to get 2 to 4 inches of rain. So you saturate the ground, you get it really, really wet the roots of a tree, maybe a dead tree, dying tree that you haven't taken care of. You get a 40 mile an hour gust, the tree's on a power line, the tree's on a shed, something like that. I don't think we see a lot of that tomorrow, but it's possible, especially in North Mississippi, 20 to 30 mile an hour wind gust for just about everybody else. And then there's that path once again. I'll go ahead and skip past that since we already got to that. But the next thing I wanted to show you is actually where I think the best chance of a tornado is going to be tomorrow night and Tuesday morning. And when I say tomorrow night, it could actually be tomorrow afternoon. So just be weather aware all day, mainly in North Mississippi. That's the best chance of seeing a tornado tomorrow. Now, these tropical tornadoes are usually very weak. They're very brief. But they can cause damage. They have caused damage before. We've seen in Laura, where Laura gave us 50 some odd tornado warnings, and we had a couple of spin-ups that did produce damage. So these are not going to be monster tornadoes, but they can still cause damage nonetheless. So just keep that in mind. Again, that's mainly in North Mississippi tomorrow, but I can't rule it out for really anybody. So we'll keep that in mind. Here's the hour-by-hour forecast. Before I get to that, let me check in with these questions. Andre says, hi Andre, by the way, could we experience any power outages from these storms? It's possible. I don't think it's widespread, but I said in an earlier live, meteorologist Chelsea Chandler, who's going to be in a little early tomorrow watching things, said it really only takes about a dog bark to knock down some power lines here in Memphis, is what it seems like. So just keep that in mind. It doesn't take a lot. We get a good 25, 30 mile an hour gust. You get in one of those tree-lined areas, Midtown, Cooper Young area, East Memphis. You get a branch on a power line, you're without power. So I don't think that's a widespread issue, but it's possible. I would say charge your phones, just to be on the safe side. What do you believe the chances are the storm turns a little more to the west, giving us more rain in Memphis and Olive Branch? Great question, Craig. And I'm going to go back to this other graphic. So you were talking about the rain. I'm sorry, I'm kind of clicking through this fast. So that's where the center of the path is going to go, or where it's currently forecast to go. It's certainly possible that we see a little bit of a wobble back, and it doesn't take a lot to make big changes in the forecast. If that center line goes from Corinth to Holly Springs, which is like a 45-minute drive, it moves that much, you're talking maybe a little closer to 2 to 4 inches in Memphis. And we're really not going to know until tomorrow, until it gets here, exactly the path it's going to take. So it's possible, Craig. I think we're pretty set where we are now. Usually when the storm hits land, the models do a little bit of a better job handling where it's going to go. So I think we've hit that point where they're going to be pretty spot on. They've been pretty spot on the last few days. In fact, the Hurricane Center forecasted landfall in Louisiana, in southeastern Louisiana, I think something like, 4 or 5 days before. So they've been pretty spot on. We'll see how this lines up. But yes, to answer your question, Craig, it would not take a lot of that track going back to the west to affect things. Let's see. Power outages, got to that. Tamika, what about Louisville? Yeah, a lot of the same as what's happening here. You're going to get a lot more rain and a lot more wind than us here in Memphis, but it's going to be certainly a wet one tomorrow down there. Is this the last hurricane of the season? No way to tell. Honestly, I doubt it. I think we have another one. Who's to say if that will come our way again? I would be shocked if this is the last hurricane we talk about. Keep in mind, hurricane season goes until November 30th, technically, and we had hurricanes in December last year. So we've got a ways to go. I think we're right now almost coming up on the peak of the season usually, which is around September 10th. So we're getting into the more active season, so I definitely think we will see, unfortunately, some more hurricanes, hopefully ones that do not hit land. That's the one thing I can't tell you. I can tell you that there are going to be more. I cannot tell you if they're going to hit land. I'll go ahead and give you the 7-day forecast. If you've stuck around this long, might as well give you a little something to look at. So tomorrow here in Memphis, rain and wind is going to develop through the day. I think the morning commute is going to be okay. Meteorologist Chelsea Chandler is going to be up on Good Day Memphis with traffic and weather and the latest info for you there. If anything changes, she'll tell you. But I think it's going to be more like 10 a.m., 11 a.m. tomorrow is when we start to get rain in Memphis. Once it starts raining, it's not likely to stop until Tuesday morning. So we're talking 18, 20 hours straight of rain. It's going to be light rain, but it's going to be rain nonetheless. So Monday night's going to be wet. Forget the cookout, forget the outdoor barbecue, forget eating on a patio Monday night. It's not happening. Tuesday night's going to be a lot better. The rain starts to taper off through the day on Tuesday, and I think by then we're looking pretty good. Tuesday afternoon will start to dry out, maybe some sunshine, and then the rest of the week looks great. Look at this. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, sunshine. Highs only in the mid-80s, not quite as hot. That's one positive of the hurricane. And an early look at the Labor Day weekend looking good too. Low to mid-90s, sunshine returns. We could see some rain on Labor Day. I saw some early indications of that. But, you know, right now I think we can just focus on the good Labor Day weekend other than this little bit of rain. So again, if you're in Memphis area, North Mississippi, West Tennessee, into Eastern Arkansas, we just want you to stay weather aware tomorrow. A great way to do that is pick up your phone right now if you're watching it and go to the Local 24 News app. We hope you're watching it on there already. And I'm not telling you this because I get an extra coin from it. The app's free, so it doesn't bother me if you download it or not. But I'm telling you to download it because it's got great info on there. You've got the radar right there that you can check, a really good radar, the hourly forecast as it updates. And then we've also got notifications on there. So if something does pop up tomorrow, and let's say there's a little tornado that forms and they put out a warning, you'll get that alert right on your phone as soon as it comes out. So it is, it's great to have. And again, it's free. No point in not downloading it. You've also got all kind of news information, sports scores, you name it. It's usually on our app. We've got some great folks that keep that updated. Shout out to our web team out there that's watching, who's getting us on the website tonight. Appreciate you guys, and like I said, they keep that updated very well. I want to show you this. We've also got a feature on the app called, let's see It, Snap It, Send It. And what you can do, if you see anything happening, you can take a photo and send it in to us right on the app. Now, we don't want you going out there in the rain and wind just to get on TV, but if you're in your front yard and you see a limb has fallen, there's some damage, snap a photo, and we'd love to share that and get it along to the National Weather Service so we can let other folks know what's happening. But again, please do not put yourself in danger to get those photos. But again, just to recap, tomorrow morning through Tuesday morning, chance of some rough weather thanks to what's left of Ida. So just be weather aware and keep an eye on things. But for right now, I'm going to end our live. I'm going to go off the website. Our next newscast is coming up in about 25 minutes, 35 minutes, if I could do math correctly. That's on CW 30 at 9. And then flip over to ABC News at 10, and we'll have Local 24 News at 10 there. We'll have all the latest information and the latest updated track and information on Hurricane Ida. But for right now, we're going to let you guys go. I'll see you tonight at 9 and 10. And keep in mind, we're going to be here for the next 48 hours, keeping an eye on things if anything serious pops up.